Hey folks, welcome back to Prepping with Sarge. Today we are going to talk all about rosemary. I'm going to tell you all about caring for it, the pruning of it, everything you need to know to harvest it and store it. It's going to be a good video. Stay with me now. All right, folks, thanks for staying with me. So we are going to talk all about rosemary here. This is such a wonderful plant to grow. There's a lot of medicinal purposes of it. But first of all, if you're new to the channel, please drop a comment down below. Tell me a little bit about what you like to grow in your area. If you're brand new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I drop videos at least twice a week. Usually the content is related to prepping, so that's gardening for self-sufficiency and food independence, food storage, food harvesting, knife reviews. I talk a lot about silver stacking, silver bullion, and the state of the economic situation in the fiat in this country, the fiat dollar, and what we're looking at for the future. And if you're a small YouTuber, please drop a comment down below. Tell me a little bit about your channel. I'd be happy to go check it out and show some love over there. I always appreciate when people come and show love to my channel. I'm happy to return that. But let's get back to the topic for today. So today we're going to talk about rosemary. Now, this is not medical advice, of course, right? Because these comments are not always well received within certain aspects of the community. But rosemary is believed by some to have some medicinal qualities, especially for people with breathing problems. I'm an asthmatic. I will always be growing rosemary. We like to use it in our household on potatoes, sometimes on chicken. We're not big fish eaters here, but you absolutely could use this on fish. It's fantastic. You can throw a little bit of it into like your pot roast. It's got a wonderful piney scent. So you can also, you could actually make cuttings of it, let it dry, and then give it to people in little, I always forget the name of it, sachets. I don't know, people sell them on Etsy, but you can, these smell so good, you can hang it in a room and it actually will make a nice piney smell inside the room. Some people will put it in their clothing dressers to make their clothes smell nice. You can make some shampoos and candles out of this stuff if you research how to do that. I don't go into that on my channel, but I know some of my other YouTube viewers are homesteaders, and maybe they'd chime in down in the comments below and give you a link to their channel if they know how to make soap or shampoo with this. All right, so let's get into the general care of rosemary. Now, as you can see here, rosemary does pretty well on its own. It's a very low maintenance plant. One of the reasons why we love it, it is, you basically, once you plant it in, it's going to continue to grow and grow and grow. It actually can kind of take over your garden, so be careful about that. You do have to frequently harvest it back, kind of like mint. Mint can take over your garden, so you got to be careful with mint too. As far as, once you get it established, if you live in the South, my experience has been that rosemary will live through the winter. If you live in the North, you might have to plant it again the next year, but it's well worth it because it's just such a giving crop. I mean, it just grows and grows and grows and gives you so much. Mine here, this is several years old, and I've had almost no problems with it. Pests don't seem to bother it. It seems to be drought tolerant, seems to be heavy rain tolerant. Seems to be basically disease-free. One year I had something that was kind of chewing it down. I didn't even do anything to it. I just kind of watched it, and it got a little bit low, and I cut out all the brown parts. Came right back, no problems at all. Whatever the pest was, it moved on, and I never saw it again. So yeah. All right, so when you first plant it, the first year that you plant it, you want to give it a little bit of fertilizer, and maybe like in the first month, make sure it's watered well, that the soil is not so much moist, but not dry either, like somewhere in the middle. And in the first month there, you can give it a little bit of liquid Miracle-Gro. Once it's established, it doesn't need a ton of fertilizer. Once or twice a year, I go in there with that organic slow release. Sorry, there's a butterfly that's like hanging out by me. It's really cool. It's distracting. Back to the plant. So you can throw, once or twice a year, I'll throw in some granulated slow release organic fertilizer. I'll put a link to that down in the description below if you want to go ahead and purchase some of that. I use it in my garden every year. It's great stuff. And then as far as, like I said, it's so low maintenance. I water it when it rains. If it starts to look brown, you might, put the sprinkler on it if you're getting a real bad drought. Haven't had that problem here. And I live in South Carolina where in the summertime, like right now, the heat is over 95 degrees here. It's pretty bad. And this is a full sun spot, okay? So it's getting blasted all day long. I actually have two of these plants. One's on the other side of the house. We're not going to work with that one too much today. So the only other thing you need to do with this plant is frequently harvest. And like I said, that's it's a nice problem to have. You can give it away as gifts. If you've got absolutely so much of it that you don't know what else to do with it, you throw it in the compost pile, right? And it'll just keep It'll develop some nice compost that'll give back to your garden the following year. It is a plant that just keeps giving and giving and giving. So let's do some harvesting today. Usually with my rule with harvesting, you know, if you've watched my other videos, is try not to take more than a third of the plant at a time. You know, you probably could be a little bit more aggressive with that with the rosemary because it is so hardy. You don't have to be super careful about your cuts, okay, with the rosemary, like in terms of like making sure it's a clean diagonal cut, again, because it's just such a hardy plant that it'll take a beating and keep on ticking. But you know, do the best you can to make sure you're not being overly aggressive, of course. You know, you don't want to hurt the plant. I think it's kind of hard to do with rosemary. And yeah, I'll show you that, and then, you know, I'll show you the dehydrator, which I've shown you in other videos basically, so I'm not going to do a whole lot of content on that today. So just to kind of give you an idea of how aggressive this plant can be, when I planted this a few years ago, it was, you know, it was maybe like half a foot tall and a couple little branches, and look at it now. It just keeps taking over, and it actually starts to overgrow the garden. Look at all right, let's go ahead and get to work here. So I might have been a little bit behind on my rosemary harvest. Be careful with this one. She likes to take over. All right, and real quick, I'm not going to go into this fully. You can go to my basil video if you want to see how to do this. But if you want to store it long term, all you're going to do is you're going to put it in dehydrator, or do a solar dehydrator, or do an oven at very low temperature. Again, you can refer to my basil video, which I will link in the description, and also I'll put an end card up for those of you who are watching on PC or tablet. And you're going to try to not try to bunch it up too much. And I do a low temperature on here, about 120 degrees. Check it in 24 hours, see how it's looking. This is, and then you'll know it's done when it's like super crispy to the touch. Like, see, this is very pliable, right? There's no, when I bend that, it should snap, right? It should be that crisp. That's when it's done. Then you put it in a glass jar and you can store it for over a year. So I really appreciate you watching. Again, if it's your first time here, please consider subscribing. I drop videos twice a week. And again, tell me a little bit about your garden down below. If you have any questions about your rosemary plants, please comment down below. I'll try to help you out as best as I can. Keep planting your seeds, keep stacking your silver. This is Prepping with Sarge.